Hello everyone, and welcome to the video for Unit 1, Day 26. Today we are working with percents of a quantity again. And today's video is dedicated to Bellany in 6A. Hi Bellany. Alright, and to get started, at the top of our paper, let's write our setup that we're going to use for each of the problems. And we want to remember that the part out of the whole amount, that ratio is always equivalent to the percent out of 100. And so, as you see in the directions here, we're going to write the words percent, whole, or part under each part of the problem to show which piece we are solving for. So let's look at example number 1 right here. 60% of 300 equals some number. So in this case, 60%, that's the percent, of 300. 300 is the total amount, so the whole. I'm just going to put W for whole. So the percent of the whole gives us a smaller amount of that whole, and that's always going to equal the part. So the percent of the whole is equal to the part. And let's set up what we know. So we're going to have an equivalent ratio, and we want to figure out what the part is. We know the whole is 300, so the part out of 300 is going to be equal to our percent. And our percent in this case is 60%. So I'll write that in here. 60 out of 100. And then I think to myself, right, between 300 and 100, how can I go between those numbers? I can either go 300 divided by 3 gets me to 100. I think it's a little bit easier to go this way. 100 times 3. And if I multiply 3 by the denominators, I also have to multiply 3 to my numerators. So 60 times 3. And the quick way to figure out what this equals is I can take out the 0. 6 times 3 is 18. Add the 0 back in. 180. So I found the part, and now I know 60% of 300 is equal to 180. All right, we got that one down. Let's try example 2. 60% of some number is equal to 300. So 60%, that's obviously our percent, of some total number, so 60% of the whole, I'll use W for whole, is equal to a smaller amount, some part of that, 300. So 300, in this case, is the part. So 60% of the whole is equal to a part of 300. Let's set up our equivalent ratio. And we know that the part is equal to 300. So I'll write in 300 for the part. And I'm trying to figure out what the whole is. So what should go here? And I know that the percent is equal to 60. So I can write in this 60% right here. And then I check 60 times what number gets me to 300, or 300 divided by what number gets me to 60. I'll let you think about that for a second. It's going to be 60 times 5. And then, if I'm multiplying by 5 on the top, I also have to multiply by 5 by the bottom. I'll give you 1 second to fill that in. And 100 times 5 gives me 500. So I know that 300 out of 500 is equal to 60%. So in other words, 60% of 500 is equal to 300. All right, got that one down. And now let's look at the third example. 60 out of 300 is equal to some percent. So in this case, 60 is the part. So I'll write part down here. Out of our total number, which is the whole, is equal to our percent. Let's set up our equivalent ratio. So we have the part, which is 60, out of the whole, which is 300. And it's going to be equal to some percent out of 100. All right, this looks familiar. How can I go between 300 and 100? Well, I can multiply 100 times 3 or divide 300 by 3. And then if I'm doing that, I have to do the same thing here. And I think to myself, what number times 3 gets me to 60? Or 60 divided by 3 gets me to what number? 20. There we go. So 60 out of 300 is the same thing as 20%. All right. Got that example down. And now that you've done these 3 examples, what I want you to do is pause the video and, using what we just did, try on your own each of these 3 videos. So pause it on each of these 3 problems. Pause it, try these 3 problems, and then continue the video to check your work. So pause it, try on your own, do that now.